Right, so today we're going to be talking about 3 easy steps to plan your year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Catherine Erdley. I am the founder of Future Retail Consulting and also the Female Founders in Retail Facebook group. And I help entrepreneurs who want to make more money through their product-based business by looking at their profitability and helping them build long-lasting businesses that actually make money. So I'm going to ask you, do you have peaks and troughs in your business? So are there some times when things are going really well and you feel fantastic, and then there are times when it just feels really, really slow and you wonder what on earth you did wrong and how on earth it happened? If that sounds like you, then you're going to enjoy listening to a little bit about coming up with an annual plan that just allows you to get a bit of a bird's eye view of your year and should help to identify those times when you're going to have peaks and troughs so that you're prepared for them rather than reacting to them. And it all helps give you a bit more of a sense of control and a feeling that you're actually, making the right decisions and working towards achievable goals for your business. So at the end of the session, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about a roadmap that I have that you can download. The link will be in the comments, and you'll be able to download that, and it will tell you a bit more about the steps you can walk through to create a profitable retail business. But for now, let's talk about the training. So are you a creative entrepreneur? Are you somebody who created your business because you love great product, you have great eye for design, and you just really love creating beautiful things? Then I'm going to take a wild guess and say that you're possibly not a huge fan of the number side of your business, in which case you're in good company, because a lot of people I talk to are also in that situation. So what I want to talk to you about is, the first off is just, why is it important to have a yearly plan? Well, a yearly plan is, again, if you saw my training last week on the 2 numbers you need to know about your business, you'll remember that I said that keeping it simple is a really important, it's a really viable option for your planning. You don't have to create masses of complicated spreadsheets that give you a real headache. You can keep it really, really simple. Hello, more people are joining us. So what, hi. So what really, the purpose of an annual plan, keep it very, very simple, but it allows you to see when you're going to have peaks in your business and when you're going to have troughs in your business. And what it does is it can help you. I think for me, the biggest reason for something like an annual plan is, I was talking to somebody I was working with on their planning, and they said to me, okay, now I get when I can go on holiday. So they had looked at their year, they'd mapped it out, they'd looked at what sales they needed to take by month, and they had identified that there was a really quiet month, and so they decided that would be the time that they took their holiday. So it's really powerful for a small business owner being able to actually look at your year and make a decision about when to take time off, when to spend more time with your family. That's really powerful, important things that we need to be able to do. So it's not just about doing a numbers exercise for the sake of a numbers exercise. It's about having that sort of control over your business. So I promised you 3 easy steps. Okay, so step 1, if you watched last week's video, you'll remember I talked about 2 numbers that you need to know for your business. If you didn't watch it, then I do suggest you go back and have a quick look. It's not very long, it's only about 10 minutes. And I talked about 2 numbers for your business, and they are your break-even sales units number. So that is where you look at how many sales units you need to sell each month in order to break even, and then it's your ideal sales units number. So that's the amount of units you have to sell each month in order to take home the salary that you want to be able to pay yourself, the amount of money you want to generate from your business. So the very first step is to just revisit those 2 numbers and to put them into a very simple spreadsheet that just has the months of the year down one side, whether you run your year from January to December, or if you follow the tax year, or whatever else you decide. A lot of retailers run it from February to January. I'm not 100% sure why, but there you go. So you put in your spreadsheet and you've got every single month, and then you just put for each one, my ideal number of units to sell each month is X, so it could be 300, and my break even is 100. So you've just got a very, very basic spreadsheet. And then what you want to do is just have a look at the bottom of the spreadsheet and see, if you add up every single month, how many do you need to sell therefore for the year to cover your costs, and how many do you need to sell for the year to pay yourself the salary? Because the truth is about retail is that you're not going to get a consistent sales performance every single month. All big retailers have a definite curve where they have got months that they take a lot of money and months they don't take much money. So we're going to start it off by making every month the same, just for simplicity. So that is step number one. Get your two numbers, your break even and your ideal, and create a spreadsheet which has every month of the year. Okay, the next thing that you need to do is you need to look back at your sales history. So what have you actually been achieving? Now, I do appreciate that this can be a little bit difficult when you're first starting out, because number one, you might not have any sales history if you're just starting off. This is literally you in the planning stage. And number two, even if you have been going for a year or so, your sales curve is going to be going up every month, because you're gaining momentum and you are no doubt getting new customers and you're doing more marketing activity as you go along, and you're just generally tracking upwards. So it can be quite challenging at the beginning to kind of really get a sense of what your year looked like. But it's worth just having a look. Were there months where you felt like you were making progress and then it dropped off? Do you feel that was because maybe that's not a peak time for your customer to buy? Or was it because you tried something different and it hadn't worked? So go back over any sales figures that you've got and just have a look at them and see, can you recognize any patterns as you go along? Are there times that were really, really good for you and then times it slowed down, or vice versa? Okay, so that's step number two. Look back at whatever sales history you've got. And really within step number two should also be, have a think, if you're in the business where you're really growing, so you're on a real steep curve, or you're just starting, you're just starting out, then have a think about when you think your different months are going, what do you think your annual pattern is going to be? Now, you might say, well, how on earth am I supposed to know that? But there are a few key points that I'll just point out to you now. So, for example, Christmas. If you're anything to do with gifting or any product that could be bought as gifting, or food-related products, then you're going to have a big peak around Christmas. You also may have mini peaks around the other big holidays. So that would be Valentine's Day, it would be Mother's Day, it would be Father's Day. Those are the key, on Easter, depending on what your product is. Those are your key seasonal events. So take a look at those and have a think about whether or not it might apply to your product. Is it a seasonal product like swimwear? So swimwear or beachwear, you're going to have a peak earlier in the year. You're not going to be selling an awful lot throughout the autumn months. So you would expect that your biggest months of the year are going to be the early months of the year. Is it to do with weddings? So weddings is an interesting one, because anything to do with planning a wedding, you often see a peak sort of just after Christmas. You get an awful lot of engagements at Christmas time, New Year. So you get a real peak in planning and things like big long lead purchase items like bridesmaids dresses or some of the bridal wear. You're going to find those purchases are going to be happening earlier in the year. But anything that's to do with actually being at a wedding or gifting for a wedding, so wedding cards, wedding stationery, wedding guest books, all of those kinds of things, those you'll often see a peak in the summer months. So think about your industry, think about what might be relevant for you. If you're something like jewelry, then obviously gift giving is going to become important. But yeah, just go through and have a look at what you think based on, talk to your customers. I always advocate that. Talk to your customers. What time of year do you buy this? Are you thinking about this? Have a look at what other products are out there in shops at this time. So if you're doing swimwear, see when the big retailers launch their swimwear, and that will give you a sense of when they're expecting to see their sales. So take some time, look at any history that you've got, and really have a think about what's relevant for your particular brand as well, and what you believe is the right is going to be your biggest months. Okay, so you might say to me, well, Catherine, is it really as simple as having a look and making an estimate? Well, to be completely honest with you, yes, that's the way that a lot of retailers do start. We start the planning by having a look at our, well, of course, we've got a lot more in detail past history to go on, but generally speaking, we're going to be taking your sales history, and you're going to be having a think about things like, you know, what impact do you think Easter's going to have, and what do you think, where do you think Valentine's is going to be? Sorry, Easter moves, Valentine's doesn't. But, you know, you're going to look at those events and see what effect you're going to have. So that is essentially how planning works, even in the bigger retail chains. You sit down, you go through what you've got as your history, you have a think about anything that's going to be different for the next year. If you're planning any big promotions at a certain time, or any big launches, that's also another thing to think about. And you basically kind of make notes about, and sometimes it can be as simple as saying, right, I think March is going to be stronger. I think Jan and Feb are going to be very quiet. I think March is going to be stronger because of Easter. I think, you know, so it doesn't have to be, as I said, hugely in depth. It's more about you thinking about the shape of your year. Okay. So that's step number 2. So step number 1 is we've created the framework with just those 2 basic figures. And step number 2, we started having a real think about what we think is going to happen throughout the year. And then step number 3 is you simply tweak your numbers. So if, for example, you decide that January is going to be a quiet month for you because you're a big Christmas heavy retailer or brand, then what you will do is you'll just simply take January and you'll say, halve it from your average sales, but then you'll be able to see, because you've made a note of what your total annual figure has to be, that you're going to have to put some of those numbers back into other months. So you choose which months you're going to put them in. It might be that you say, right, it could be as simple as saying, I think it's going to be fairly flat throughout the year, but December's going to be twice as big as every other month, and January's going to be, virtually nothing. So that could be what you do for your annual plan. Again, as I said, it doesn't have to be that difficult, but it's just a sense of you getting a feel of what you think, how it's going to pan out. You know, if you've got kids and it's the summer holidays and you know for a fact that you're going to struggle to fulfill that many orders during the summer holidays, then by all means go right ahead, take out sales from the summer holiday months to allow yourself more breathing space and allow a lower expectation for what you're actually going to be able to do and deliver. But then you can see by looking at your annual plan, all right, well, in order to still come out okay over the year, I've really got to push myself in these other months in order to make my overall annual figures. And that is the point of doing it. It's saying, okay, I'm going to allow some months to be quieter because of either the sales pattern or my own personal capabilities. But I know, therefore, in order to meet my overall annual goal, that I'm going to have to put these into different months. And then you might have, a challenging target for some months, but then that might be where you channel your advertising budget, if you have any advertising budget, or you really focus your promotions and you look at, okay, well, what can I do in these months that were really going to drive my sales? Okay, so that is it really. I wanted to keep it very simple, top line. So 3 steps to planning your year. If anyone's got any questions, then do pop them in the comments box. Otherwise, just to say again, I'm going to put a link in the comments that will take you through to my download. So if you join the mailing list, you'll be able to get the download, which will tell you the steps that you have to walk through, the roadmap to building a profitable retail business. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.